Hello, I'm Nathan Leslie. I'm obviously just here to do my little midterm project we got going on. Bear with me. I'm not very good at speaking or especially not doing like videos like this. I always feel kind of awkward in front of the camera. But yeah, as far as my son goes, he's doing pretty good. It's kind of tough. He really just likes to be held most of the time for the first week or so. It was one of us had to be holding the whole time, even if he wanted to sleep. So it was kind of rough. But anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of talk about a few things that stuck out to me the most in my professional life, personal life, and things like that. And the first thing I want to talk about is ethics. I think that that's really one of the biggest things that should be talked about, really, not only in the workplace, not only in your families, but in the U.S. itself, and in other countries as well. In here it says that we defined ethics as society's accepted standards of moral behavior. That is, behaviors accepted by society as right rather than wrong. Just a few examples in my workplace, like I work for Resto Clean. It's a like a disaster cleanup, like water damage, fire, mold, asbestos, cleanup here in the Treasure Valley. And our biggest thing is always make it right. If we mess up, that's going to be our first thing that we'll admit it. I mean, there has been a few times where I've been on other people's jobs and I've been like, well, I don't know what's going on here, but we definitely messed up. Things aren't going well. For example, we were blowing mold spores around. We didn't take care of all of the mold, this, that, or the other. Or someone was trying to save someone's kitchen, and they said that everything was fine, everything was going good, but clearly it wasn't. You get there, I mean, I could find mold everywhere, just things like that. And he'd been doing this for probably 10 more years longer than I have, and he never didn't let go because of actually these few cases. But regardless, it's always making things right, because I mean, anyone could have went in there and be like, well, he's doing his thing, it's his job. But you always kind of got to say something, especially if something isn't right. And so I think that that's really one of the biggest things. I think it comes down to integrity as well. Kind of doing, makes you, like, no matter what, you're always going to be doing the right thing behind closed doors. That's kind of a huge thing that businesses should partake of. I mean, I've worked for a couple places that were kind of the complete opposite. They're like, well, just take shortcuts, do this, that, the other. It's the way that I felt after I do things that go against my moral ethics. Just doesn't sit right with me. So I'm always trying to be truthful and honest, especially when I'm doing things in people's homes. I try to treat people the way that I would want to be treated. Make sure that they know that they're taken care of by me, going the extra step to, whether it's something as simple as just covering my walkway that I'm going to be going in and out of. I mean, just trying to show them, we're trying to keep your place clean, especially if they have little kids, trying to contain off the areas, make sure that we're good to go. Really just treating people's homes like it was my own, or even more specifically, like my grandparents or my parents or things like that. I want people to make sure that, like, they know that I'm there for them. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest things that I took away from ethics, is just doing morally what's right. Treating other people as they're my family, I think, is the greatest thing that I could do, especially in a business standpoint. And that's really brought me to where I'm at. Granted, my wife and I are planning a move, but with this company that I'm with, Resto Clean, I have been doing restoration for 4 years now. I've only been with them for a year, but from where I was when I first started to where I am now, just a huge difference. So much more confidence, just because I'm simply, it's more ethical around there, I guess you could say. They want to do the right thing. They do the right thing. When my son had his first brain surgery last semester, I was gone for 2 weeks, and all my PTO was used up because I had taken a vacation earlier in the year. And the owner of the company, super amazing guy, essentially, he was like, don't worry about it, man. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you can take all my on-call bonuses, anything like that, any bonus that you need to take out of my paycheck, like, please just, like, I don't want you to have to go through that, like, paying me a couple weeks even though I'm not here. I just don't feel like that's fair to you. He's like, no, like, you work your butt off. you're a person, like these things happen, and I just wanted to like let you know that like we are here for you, like um, things like that. And that's something I've never seen before in a company ever in my life. I've never seen someone be so selfless as an owner, which has been just amazing to see, that there are great businesses out there. There are businesses and frankly business owners that do genuinely care, not even just about their workers or their employees, but just about people in general. He's a very good person, and it's great. And he tries to hire people exactly like that, like our operations manager. He's fantastic. Our mitigation managers, pretty much everyone in there is just great. It's a fun time to work with them. The next thing I want to talk about, it actually kind of goes hand in hand with that, is the decision-making bullet, like little section in the book. This is one thing that I really try to bring in, especially in my workplace, but also even with this move that's coming up with me and my wife. Essentially in here it talks about the 6 Ds of decision making, and these are things that I've really been trying to, like I said, implement every single day, no matter what it is, which is kind of weird, but really it's been helping me think through versus just saying, yeah, that's the right answer. Yeah, that's the right answer. It's really helped me just sit back and kind of play devil's advocate, and I think it's really been kind of helped me not only understand situations better for myself, but even people making maybe wrong decisions or things like that. Sometimes they don't go through the 6 Ds, or sometimes they just don't realize that they might be making the wrong decision because they do just jump right to the gun. And so these 6 Ds go for define the situation, describe and collect needed information, develop alternatives, decide what alternative is best, do what is indicated, determine whether the decision was a good one, and follow up. And even in here it says you don't always have to go through the 6-step process. I think that really for bigger things or things that they can't necessarily give that answer to within the first few minutes of kind of talking it through with you, this, that, or the other, it's definitely something that you should sit back and look at. Like I know with this move especially, the main reason is my parents are moving, and they're kind of our main source of childcare when my wife would go to school, this, that, and the other. And so they're moving out to Idaho City, so it's going to be about an hour drive, and they're actually not even sure if they're going to move to Mountain Home or not. They're just kind of up in the air. They just know they don't want to live in the valley. And so my wife is going to be applying to nursing school soon, and so we can't really afford daycare. Daycare is so expensive. We can't afford to pay a sitter, every single week, because we don't really know many people in the area, even though I'm from here. Everyone I know is still 50 minutes away out in Homedale, or stuff like that. So it's kind of tough to really find care. And so we even found like the Care app, and even on there people charge quite a bit, and with the amount that we'd have to pay, it's like $600-700 a month, which generally we really could afford, but it's going to be trusting somebody that we don't really know to not only watch our children, but raise them to make those ethical decisions. Anyways, so I use these 6 Ds, especially when we decided we're going to move to Kansas, because my wife's family does live there, and she does have teenage siblings that are always home, especially with this COVID thing in their high schools and middle schools. They're not planning on going back to normal school anytime soon out there in Kansas, and so especially within this next year, we're gonna be able to have that care that we need. My wife does transfer schools there to go ahead and get done. The first thing was define the situation. It was, we need childcare for when you go to school. My work, I can move up. I can transfer schools if I need to. It doesn't matter to me. The biggest thing is to get my wife through school so we can progress our lives in the future. Describe and collect needed information. We had looked into childcare, all sorts of it. We, looked at any funding that we could qualify for, which we can't because I do make too much, things like that. I guess that's what happens when you have 3 kids, but that's all right. Develop alternatives. Our alternative really was my parents, if they did stay in the valley, or to have my wife's family watch them out in Kansas. And I know it's a 20-hour drive, 20-hour move. It's kind of scary. But in this, alternative as well. Kansas does have kind of a lower cost of living, and I can make the same amount, if not a little bit more there. So it really would help out getting like a $3 an hour raise, even possibly moving up to a higher position where we wouldn't have to do as much labor anymore. And just with my certifications and everything that I do have through what I do. Then it says to decide which alternative is best. We have ultimately decided that Kansas is the best, despite all the moving costs, this, that, and the other. And then do what is indicated. So that's what we're decided to do today. We just got quite a few boxes. We're starting to kind of pack up a little bit. And another big thing too, with the information that was needed, and to decide which alternative is best, was the neurosurgery, like for brain stuff for like my son, there in Kansas City is top 10 in the nation. So that was kind of one thing that really, I think, kind of comforted us too, just because it was really kind of unknown, whether his new shunt that he has in his brain could fail or not, and they're really on it. We've talked to them, we've looked at reviews and things like that, and they seem to really add up to what we really want. Not that we don't like our care team here. They're great, fantastic. We do love them a lot, but it's just kind of a peace of mind type thing there as well. And so I think that's really one big thing, especially in this big decision that we made, that I kind of look back to and would think about. And then lastly, let me scroll over here, the value of motivation. So that's I work a job that no one wants to work. I clean up sewage, even biohazards too. It's all kind of crappy, if you will. But there's tons of motivation that my employer does have for us. Every time we go into the attic or crawl space, we get $5 more an hour. If I do an asbestos job, which I'm certified to do, I get an additional $10 an hour while I'm doing that. Or if I do the biohazards, I do get an extra $15 an hour. So it's really like, wow, it's like kind of like a no-brainer at that point when I'm already, trying to raise my family. I'm pretty young still, I'm gonna be 25 in like a month, and I do have 3 kids, and so we're really kind of in the thick of things. So I try to get as much overtime and stuff as possible. It really motivates me to want to work and to really be happy about working, because I could be not getting any bonuses for that, and it would just make it that much more worse, even though really it's kind of part of my job anyway. I've already gone this far without them, but no, it's fantastic and I love it. And in here it talks about the test that they had that they went through, with this job here, and it talks about the workers in the test room saw themselves as a social group. That atmosphere is informal, they could talk freely, they interact regularly with their supervisors and experimenters, and they felt special and worked hard to stay in the group, and that was a form of motivation for them. And then it says that they were included on planning experience, and that also made them feel included, and no matter the physical conditions, the workers enjoy the atmosphere of the special room and the additional pay for being more productive. So that kind of goes back to the physical conditions, things like that. The motivation really comes back down to the money. Also, the social atmosphere of it. Everyone at my work, we all get along really, really well. And as a matter of fact, this is the first time I've probably hung out with coworkers outside of work. Every Friday, me and 4 other guys, we go and play basketball at the rec center, things like that. Just because we all enjoy each other, we watch UFC fights together, stuff like that. It's great. Go on double dates, things like that. I love it. But I think that the motivation, as well as the atmospheres that I talked about in here, are really, really important. Because, like I said, if you don't have motivation, you're not going to want to be there. I have worked jobs where I physically could not find myself to want to go. I'd throw up in the mornings. I simply would not want to go because there was no motivation for me to be there. Everyone that worked around me were not ethical. They didn't know how to make ethical decisions, so I was constantly around things that brought me down, and that was kind of a downfall for me. But really, these are kind of the biggest 3 things that came to my mind. I apologize if I rambled a lot again. I'm not the best at videos. Sometimes I explain things too long, but Anyway, thank you so much for your time and for working with me throughout my son's surgery. Really appreciate it, and we will talk to you soon.